Episode 18 of the Boroughs on BTO Media. I'm Kevin Bunk, joined by Michael Merlo every week now on Fridays at 11 o'clock. We're a few minutes late here. We were kind of just shooting it around about the football game last night. Won't lie to you. Football's back, so we're excited for that. But baseball is in its best time of the year as well, where we have 4 weeks left of the regular season here. Mike, the Mets trending in a great direction. The Yankees trending in a terrible direction. Baseball as a whole feels like all the good teams are trending in really bad directions. So that bodes well for the Mets, who we're going to start with and talk mostly about today. How have you felt this last week and a half since we last did the show, which was last Tuesday, regarding the Mets?
So, Kevin, the season has ended and the season has completely flipped on its head since the last time we did an episode. Because the last time we did an episode, they had just won a game in Arizona. And you're like, okay, it's good, whatever. You're still a few games back of Atlanta, right? And then the night after, or I think the night of the day we recorded, Edwin Diaz blows a save, and literally the world was falling. Or I think it was the next day, whatever it was, the world was falling. That was it. And I was admittedly done, out. I was like, the season's over. They got me to football, and I was thanking the Mets. I'm saying to friends and family, like, they did everything I asked. Give me a season, give me a summer, and get me to football. And I'm like, they did that. I can't be mad. Kevin, they went on a 7-game winning streak. The blown saves in San Diego and Arizona, yeah, they hurt because you should have really only lost one game on that trip. But they're playing great baseball. They're exciting. They're fun. We talked about it early, like the special features that teams have going on a run. And, the special features that we've seen from playoff teams, right? And it's the funny, kind of clubhouse things. And then it's the players stepping up, the certain types of players stepping up for these teams. And Kevin, I think the Mets have it. The biggest problem and the biggest issue is going to be, can they actually get into the playoffs?
Yeah, right now tied for that wild card spot with Atlanta, who they play a big 3-game series with from the 24th to the 26th at Atlanta. Mike, maybe a little bit of a 2022 flashback.
Don't say it.
For the Mets, different situation. That was competing for the division, but that will be a huge series down in Atlanta coming up later in the year. Probably will decide that wild card spot, but they don't have a very easy schedule down the stretch. They're going to get the Phillies for 4. They're going to get the Braves for 3. The Brewers are their final 3 games of the year. So they got to win these games coming up right now against Cincinnati. They start that 3-game set today, and then Toronto, because then you get that hard part of the schedule afterwards where you actually have the Phillies 6 times in 9 games to start, and Washington wedged in between. So the Mets are in the position right now. They've put themselves back in after a bad week 2 weeks ago. As you said, 7-game win streak, 8-2 in their last 10. And they've had the players step up. They have a good deep lineup. The pitching has stepped up for the most part, both as starters. The starters have been very good on most nights. Mm-hmm. And then the bullpen has been getting the job done. They took care of business in their last few series since we did last week's episode. And it's tough not to be excited about the Mets right now because, Mike, you hit it on the head. All year long, you have been true to this. Just give me a season, stay relevant until September, and not just to get you to football. I know that's how it feels now, but just show me that this team can compete for next year. I don't want to see this team suck so bad this year. And now they're doing the opposite of that. You start to think maybe they could go into the playoffs and you feel like they're the 4th or 5th best team in the NL if they make it.
It's real now. It's real. Andy Martino, who he's a writer for SNY for both the Mets and the Yankees, and usually he has a very realistic mentality on things. And, I've had, disagreements with him. I've disagreed with things he said and whatnot. But he wrote today on Twitter that, it feels like a special team, a special season for the Mets. And he said, for me to say that, it means it's real because, he doesn't just say things like that. And, I think that really opened my eyes this morning. Like, hey, there is something real. And, you have, a softer spot here in the schedule where Cincinnati comes into town and you go to Toronto for a few games. I think it's a 4. I don't know how many games they have. I think it's 3-3. So, I mean, you got to take advantage here of the softer spot of your September schedule. and win 5 games here because it's going to get rough. I don't fear the Phillies. I really don't. I think the Mets can handle Philadelphia. Atlanta scares me. That series in Atlanta really scares me. And I'll tell you what, this is a different Atlanta team that we've seen. And if Atlanta gets into the postseason, I think they're going to be my pick to go to the World Series because they have a World Series rotation, better rotation than they've had. Even in the season they won the World Series and the last 2 seasons where they were juggernauts, really half the season in 22 and then obviously in 23, juggernauts the entire year. But the rotation is better than any season in recent history for this team with Sale, Lopez. You have Fried. I keep forgetting about Max Fried, and that Schwallenbach hitter they brought up has been lights out since they brought him back up.
It's crazy in the NL because there's 7 teams that I could see going to the World Series, and I would not be surprised at all. I mean, Milwaukee might be at the bottom of the list, but the way this season's gone, can anyone rationally sit here and say any of those 7 teams cannot get in? There's always that team we've talked about the last few weeks, the last 2 years, my team that was just happy to be there, went to the World Series both years. I'm not making the same mistake this year because any of these teams can get in of the 7 teams vying for a spot in the National League.
Yeah, and you can't just look at the AL. I mean, there's teams that you would absolutely say you don't think they can get into the World Series. There are 7 teams you feel pretty good about it. And a division winner who's over 20 games over 500, would probably be the last team you think of, right? Probably most likely, right? The Brewers in the Central. You'd say, oh, that's the least likely team, just with the way and the makeup of these teams. I don't know if they have the innings. That's the problem, in that starting rotation to do it.
Yeah, exactly.
But their bullpen's great. They can hit. Willie Adames having a really good year. The loss of yellow charts, but it's a really weird season in the National League because you do feel really good about all those teams.
You do. And I think more so than feeling really good about all of them, you don't feel really bad about any of them. There's a redeeming quality to every single one of those teams in the National League. I don't think you can say the same about the AL. I think the Twins, I'm an AL Central hater, but the Twins, no shot. Kansas City, the slimmest shot. I'd be very surprised if Kansas City was in the World Series. And Cleveland, I mean, it's just the AL Central that I'm kind of just totally out on now with these teams. But the National League is a really fun race right now. The Mets have a great juice. We can talk about Lindor here. We can talk about Vientos here. But, I mean, how Lindor, I want to kind of go back to something I said 2 or 3 months ago. That Lindor, I don't know if you remember me saying this, I'm sure you do, is not your number one superstar. Lindor is one of those guys that you need he reminds me of Soto. You need an Aaron Judge. You need a Shohei Ohtani to make those other guys great. Lindor, Soto, because they can't lead on their own. Totally missed the mark on that back in June because Lindor has proved us all wrong this summer. What an incredible summer, a career year for an incredible player. And he's must-see TV right now. And he might be the MVP.
I believe he should be the MVP. That's, my opinion on it. And, listen, you call me biased, whatever. A little bit. But there are reasons as to why he should be the MVP. We can talk about it in a little bit. Yeah, we all missed the mark. We really did. We took him for granted, right? He's never been this good offensively with the Mets. That's the one thing. He hasn't been. So let's just throw that out there. Like the Met fan, the analysts, we're not stupid. Okay. He's never been this good. But the fact that this guy has been criticized as a Met overall the past 2 seasons, I'll take 21 out. 21 was a bad season for Lindor standards. 2022, he was really good. 2023, he was better. He was really good. Now, this is his best season. This is the season that could win him an MVP award. Those weren't MVP type seasons, but this season is. And this is the best we've seen him. This is the closest we've ever seen him to Cleveland, Francisco Lindor. And by the way, and I'm going to pull it up right now, is this the best season of his career? Like, could you make the argument that the 2024 season is the best year of his career? I think it's very possible it ends up being that way.
Let me ask you a quick question, little sidebar about looking at the stats. I was looking at the stats this morning, and with the players in the league, How do you gauge the increased steal numbers over the last 2 seasons? Because you look at Lindor's year and his steals the last 2 seasons are so much better, but can you say that that goes along with an actual better season? Because he's not stealing 50 bags now. That would be a significant increase to where you're saying he's just way better at stealing. He's gotten better at getting a good jump. But I feel like with the increase in steals, this is not a knock on him at all. I'm just curious, how do you gauge that difference? Because I don't know how to weigh it.
There's no difference, in my opinion, because he was still stealing, a decent amount of stolen base. He was still stealing a decent amount of bags in Cleveland in the past few years. So kind of just chalk it up. All right, it's a few more. So we know he's this good. He's this good at stealing bases. Now the extra few, that's attributed to the rules. We had this argument on the batter's box last year. You said Ronald Acuna's. You said this is one of the 3 most impressive seasons, I think, offensive seasons you've seen in your life. Ronald Acuna last year, 40-70. And I pushed back and said, I think you got to wait for that take because we need to see how the stolen base, numbers evolve with the new rules. And, we had a nice debate over that. And I still feel the same way. Like the stolen bases, there's definitely an increase because of these new rules. And I think we kind of got to rethink our numbers here.
Yeah, and you were right on that because I have completely rethought. That's why every time someone brings up an Ohtani 50-50, does it feel any more impressive than a 10 years ago 50-30? Which was still incredibly impressive. That's not a mark that I'm saying is not impressive and not incredible, but how much does 50 steals mean now that the worst bag stealers are taking 20?
Yeah. The 50-50, it's impressive to look at, like, when you're thinking about it in real time. Maybe, you're not thinking about the fact that there's new rule changes. A lot of people aren't going to think that. They're just going to look and say, hey, 50-50, that's history. But Kevin, he's not playing the field. He's not. He's not affecting the game in that way.
I'm going to be honest with you, and I get the argument, and maybe I think I've gotten to a point where I am so undervaluing defense in today's MLB. I almost don't care that he's DHing. And I've been trying to come to a point where I care, but I feel like offense has become way more than half the game.
Yeah, but when you're affecting the game in the way, listen, if Francisco Lindor was a left fielder, okay, fine. But like the guy's playing shortstop.
Yeah.
He's playing one of the most, the 2 most important defensive positions on the field. And he does it at such an elite level every single year. And he plays every single day. Like, that's a lot. You're playing defense every day. He's never DHing. Never. And again, he plays every inning. When there's a blowout on either side, whether they're getting blown out or the Mets are blowing a team out, he rarely comes out of the game.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he played when they're taking the starters out, like Nimmo will come out and sometimes Alonso will come out. Like, Lindor's in that game most of the time. This guy plays every day. He's playing an elite level defense, and it just so happens that at a really important defensive position, he's also putting up extremely elite numbers offensively.
I think the better angle to a Lindor MVP argument goes along the lines of leadoff hitter who doesn't have the production opportunities that a guy like Ohtani would have because he's hitting in the leadoff spot, and he's been great in the leadoff spot for such a large portion of the season. And also that old argument where we hear it every season, but you can't really quantify it, so it's tough to make. But who needs that player more? Which team? The Mets need Lindor probably more than any team in either side of the MVP race, maybe the Royals with Bobby Witt, but they need that guy more than the Dodgers need Ohtani, or the Yankees need Aaron Judge, or the Yankees need Juan Soto individually. It's the Mets need Lindor to be playing like an MVP to even be relevant. They might not make the playoffs in his career year. That's why he's so much more valuable to that team than me, because he's not on a team that's as good. His opportunity for production, his protection opportunity is not even close to that of Ohtani's.
Yeah, he's without him. This is easily what's their record? It's 76 and 64. You could probably flip the record if he's not on this team.
Yeah, you probably could.
Or even, not even. Let's say he's on the team and he was having like a 2022 season, which was really good. You might be able to say, oh, maybe they're still under 500. That's how good and clutch he's been. I also saw an interesting stat yesterday. The stats in high leverage, where Ohtani's not doing anything in high leverage situations, and Lindor is just crushing him in those stats as well. Makes you think, is all.
Yeah, I'd have to take a look at those, but I'm going to take your word for it for sure. I want to go back
I'll
to
pull it up right now.
Yeah, I want to go back to while you're doing that. Is this the best season of Lindor's career? I think the only two that can really compete with this one is his 2018 season with Cleveland. And I mean, he was like exceptional last year. I know the production numbers aren't, I mean, they are the best shortstop production in the league, but compared to the other seasons, I don't think they're as good. They're better than 18. This year he'll pass. He's going to pass both those seasons this year.
You think? Yeah, he will. Sorry, I'm still looking for this. I can't find it. It's really annoying me because they're really good stats. Here it is. Average with runners in scoring position. Ohtani, 217. Lindor, 265. Average in high leverage situations. Ohtani, 247. Lindor, 291. OPS in high leverage. Ohtani, 799. Lindor, 844. And this was great. MLB Network threw this onto the graphic. Innings on defense. Ohtani 0, Lindor 1,224.
Yeah,
they threw that on the graphic. That's a cheap shot. That's a cheap shot. I'll give you that.
Yeah, but it also does reinforce the point that you have a player playing elite defense. Because Lindor is not just playing defense. You know, he's not just out there because he's not a DH. He's out there because he is one of the best shortstops in the game defensively.
Did you
so
see
that adds to it? I mean, it's going to be Ohtani's still like a minus 300 favorite or minus 500 favorite.
I think it's bigger. I think it's
to win. So it was like minus 3,000 a month ago.
Yeah, no, a week ago,
and now it's gone down into the hundreds. But man, I don't know where I would go with it because it's tough. You
would vote for Ohtani? I mean, seriously, Ohtani. He's not playing. He sits in the dugout for 90% of the game. I understand how good he is offensively. I get that. But he's in the he's not affecting the game.
You know what's
for
so
90% of it.
You know what's so unique about Ohtani too? With that 50 stolen bag number, whether we want to call it a true 50 or not, and how I think we both will agree. I'll agree with your point that we have to hold on for a few more years to really consider the value of what 50 steals is and what 40 steals, 30 steals is. But the fact that the guys that do hit 50 home runs and hit 290, 300 in a season and are DHs have always been David Ortiz, Aaron Judge, Giancarlo Stanton, Pete Alonso, Mark McGwire, Barry Bonds. Like, those guys don't steal 50 bags at all. Like, they don't even steal 10 bags. So for him to be that marvel on the base paths too, because he is a sick athlete for a DH. He's a ridiculous athlete.
Right.
It's very unique to his campaign as a designated hitter. It's tough. It's a really tough argument because both players are great.
I'm trying to take the bias out. That's my problem. I'm trying to take the bias out of things. So let's pretend Lindor doesn't play for my team. Like, it's tough because he does.
Yeah. I would vote Ohtani today. And I still am at a point where, like, if the ballot came to me, I truly wouldn't think twice. I would just vote Ohtani right away, and I would vote Judge right away. But it's not to say Lindor doesn't deserve a few votes or some recognition in this. He's just not. Like, if they both hit free agency right now, and I told you Ohtani's not going to play the field for the next decade, and you get him for 10 years, or you can get Lindor for 10 years and play the field, everyone's signing Ohtani. 30 teams are signing Ohtani.
I don't think 30 teams are signing
I think
Ohtani.
30 teams sign Ohtani if he
don't
hit
think
free agency
30
right
teams.
now.
Obviously, we're hypothetical and I guess different contracts, but that's tough. It's really brutal. I don't even know how to answer this. Lindor adds, like, again, you want to talk about the definition of value, right? We're talking about the definition of value. How is this guy not the most valuable player in the league? Like, and I hated this argument because in the NBA, LeBron should have won the goddamn MVP award every single season. Okay. So what they need to do, right, is basically what the NFL does, where you're giving an offensive player of the year award because that's what Ohtani wins, right? No ifs, ands, or buts. And then you have the most valuable player. And the most valuable player in football always goes to the quarterback, right? In this case, it should go to Francisco Lindor. They should have made a LeBron James award. They need to name the award after LeBron James for how many times they snubbed him from winning MVP in his career because he doesn't have as many as he should. Say Lindor, like, Ohtani's the offensive player of the year. And Lindor, in totality, is the most valuable player on the field in the National League.
Yeah, it's tough, man. It's a good point, but it's really difficult to gauge like who is more valuable because, and first of all, we know that I almost just knocked over my entire desk. We know that it's not how it goes in voting. You made the point with LeBron. It's usually just best player. Like, it was Steph Curry ever truly the most valuable to his team when he won MVPs? No, but he was the best player. But he wasn't the most valuable because he had Klay Thompson, he had Draymond Green. So that team would have made the playoffs without him. Lindor, the Mets obviously don't make the playoffs without him. Mike Trout should have won a bunch of MVPs because they don't even win 50 games without him.
Right.
That awful team who won 75, 76 games a year wouldn't have won 50 without Trout. And he'd put up great numbers. But there's definitely an anti-Mets bias in the media because Lindor should at least be covered and considered more than he is.
I think now, though, you're starting to see it.
Now it's starting to come out because we're at a point in the season finally where you can cut about 20 teams out of the playoff or 12, 14 teams out of the playoff race.
Well, I think that a few people, at least in the mainstream media, are saying, hey, guys, like, this guy has played 1,200 innings in the field and Ohtani's played 0. Like, that clip, it surfaced and that photo had surfaced on social media the past couple of days. I think people are starting to realize, like, hey, this guy spends 90% of the game in the dugout. And baseball is one of those sports where you can have all the stars in the league, right? Or you can have the best 3 players in the league. But if they're not up at the right time, or they're walked, or, they're slumping that day, like, it's not like basketball or football where if you have the best quarterback in the league or the best player in the league and, a good supporting cast, like, you're going to have a really good chance to win. In baseball, we've seen the best teams in the league, the best players in the league on a team not do anything. Lindor is affecting the game in as many ways as he possibly can, where Ohtani can come up and crap the bed in a series because he goes cold. And there you go. Lindor at least can affect it on if Lindor goes 0 for 5 and strikes out 5 times, twice with guys in scoring position, he's still affecting the game by making a great, run-saving play at shortstop.
As of today, Major League Baseball has the odds at minus 2,500 for Shohei. So I was way off with the minus 500. I thought he got into the hundreds.
It's bullshit. Excuse me.
And Lindor's second, of course, at plus 550, and then no one's close after. And in the AL, Judge is minus 5,000, Witt's minus or plus 900. But it's also like, I don't want to say that there's a bias involved in the voting, but Ohtani is such a massive name that if you have as good of a year as he does, it's almost impossible to win the award. You know, if you're as
there's a lot of
valuable,
love. Yes, the writers love him. There's a lot of love within the game. They're obviously always trying to, get his name out there and whatnot and promote him as much as possible. Yeah, I get that.
And also, I almost feel like people are still saying, well, he pitches too, but he doesn't this year. So we can't continue this. And every other year, Ohtani as the second or third best hitter is way more valuable than the best because he's pitching and he's pitching to a sub-4, sub-3.5 ERA. But this year, we can't continue to have that same mindset that Ohtani is way more valuable than everybody else because he hasn't played an out of defense.
Are you starting to turn here? Like, is this
No,
you
I'm
starting?
not, but I'm playing both sides of it. I think Ohtani I'm just saying Ohtani shouldn't be that heavy of a favorite. Because I was saying minus 500. That's very heavy still.
Yes.
And that's where I feel it's at. Like minus 500 on September 6th doesn't mean you're a lock, but it means that the season ended today, you're definitely winning.
Yes.
Minus 2,500 means you could probably miss the last 4 weeks and win it.
Yes. And that's what sucks about this because when, Lindor, when the conversation started to like creep up, I guess, in Mets fans' minds, it was like if Lindor gets hot and the Mets go on a run, then he has a real shot at winning it. And he's done exactly that. He's gotten as hot as I think anybody can ever imagine. It's hot in this freaking house. I'm like sweating. And he's done that, and it stinks that, it's still not even enough to try, even come close to catching him.
No, it does. It stinks. Lindor, great year, though. We'll pivot this conversation to Vientos, who, did you see? I'm sure you saw the WRC Plus rankings for third baseman. He's third behind Devers and Ramirez.
Yeah.
And you look at the guys on the rest of the list, I'm not even a huge WRC Plus person because I don't know exactly what it is or how it's gauged, but I do understand that it has been pretty accurate for showing which players are better because I haven't seen many WRC Plus lists that I disagree with in the rankings. So I do acknowledge that. But you look at the guys after him on those lists, really not an elite group behind him that you feel he should be further down. He might be a top 3 third baseman in the league.
Offensively, yes.
Offensively, of course.
My concerns defensively with him, and he's probably not a third baseman, or at least projects to be one. But the guy has just extreme raw power. He's fixed his chase. This season he's not. I mean, listen, he occasionally goes for that outside slider like Alonso does, more less than Alonso, but not to throw Alonso in here. Oh, I got to show you this funny meme actually I saw like last week. But either way, I digress. I love the Alonso hate this year. I love it.
Yeah, he's totally gone. I think Vientos is the next first baseman.
Yeah, I'm just kind of worried this guy stinks everywhere defensively.
You might think everywhere. At the least, though, you have one of the best DHs in the league.
Yeah, I'd like him to play first base, though.
I think he could play first base if you give him a full offseason of work there. He can't play a worse first base than Alonso. I think he'd be able to get as good as Alonso.
It's not that hard.
No.
But Vientos, again, I'll say it again. It's so surprising what he's done. Like, so shocked. Him and Peterson, man. Oh, my God. He's been a godsend. I don't know where they are without him, right? I mean, talk about the offense. Nimmo stinks, okay? Let's rant about Brandon Nimmo for a second, okay? This guy is terrible. They need to move him down in the lineup immediately. He needs to start hitting 8th with his buddy who also stinks, Francisco Alvarez, okay? Those two got to hit at the bottom of the lineup because they are truly awful. But like without Vientos here, especially in the second half, the Mets are not on this run because Nimmo went to sleep, like literally sleeping. Like Brian Cashman when he does the outdoor, those memes when Cashman
Yeah.
goes to sleep outdoors, the homeless thing. That is Brandon Nimmo in the second half. So if you can't tell, I'm pissed at Brandon Nimmo. Without him, without Vientos, I don't know where this team is. So he's their second best offensive player this season, and it's been fun to watch him.
Yeah, he's been great. I think JD Martinez also deserves some love in that just
Oh,
because
100%.
Martinez, even if he hasn't been exceptional, as Vientos and Lindor have been for him in the successful run after June 1st, Martinez has provided that steady bat that they definitely need and every team needs in the middle of the order. A good veteran hitter that produces. So I give him some love. But yeah, Nimmo, who we really praised in the beginning of the season, saying he might be one of the all-time great Mets when the time is up, has really taken a bad turn this season. What's his average? His average is down, I think, below 230 now. And his production just never actually got going compared to where it was earlier in the year. He's not having a bad season for a corner outfielder production-wise, but you don't really feel great about it either.
Let's play a fun game.
Ramped up.
Let's play a fun game. What are Brandon Nimmo's stats since the second half of the year? This is really fun. Let's play. Okay, you're going to guess.
All right, so he's got to be hitting below 200.
Hold on. He is. Yes. 191.
All right.
What's his on-base percentage?
250?
299. Okay.
Okay, that's higher than I thought.
And his OPS. What's his OPS?
All right, if the on-base is 299?
Yes.
So the on-base is 299. I'd say OPS 480.
Hold on. Sorry, my computer's giving me a lot of issues right now. 585. It's a little higher.
Okay,
than you would
so
have
100 points off on that guess. And then he can't have more than 2-3 home runs.
He has 1 home run.
1 home run, yeah. So, and I don't know, RBIs, I have no idea. Probably.
Sorry, 2 home runs, 11 RBIs.
Yeah, okay. So there. I mean, just terrible second half so far. Awful. Imagine where they'd be if he was hitting.
Maybe if he starts to hit. Maybe if he starts to be useful again.
That's
another
part of this Braves-Mets race is how many guys that should be hitting and performing better than they are that could just blow this wild card race out of the water are not hitting at all.
And then think about this for a second, okay? What the hell? He was playing center field the other night, okay? They had to put him in center. I don't know. JD was out on the paternity list, so they had Nimmo in center field. Bader was sitting this night. And Brandon Nimmo played it was actually 2 games. A god-awful center field. God-awful. And then he's in left, and he's not even playing a great left field now. I'm like, what has happened? And I don't want to hear the excuse that he's hurt. I really hate that. Put him on the IL if he's hurt. I can't stand that. You have the guys at the major league level, and you could bring somebody up. You have outfielders down there, utility players down there that can come up and play left field for 2 weeks if he was hurt. So if he got hurt, every game he fouls a ball off his shin, and he's hopping around because he's hurt. He's the most brittle player in the league. That's one thing we gotta announce there. And if he's hurt, he put him on the IL. I hate that excuse. I hate it.
I know, me too. That's the Yankees are doing it with Verdugo right now. He walks up to first base while he's really dealing with something. All right, well, we don't care because he's not able to perform. So can we sit him? Can we put him on the IL for 10 days? That's frustrating. That Mendoza learned that from Boone, that move. But you want to pivot to the Yankees here.
Yeah.
And they suck. I don't even want to talk about them, really. My top performer of the week, if you're not watching on YouTube, if you're watching on Spotify, my top performer of the week is Jason Dominguez, who is tearing it up in AAA. I mean, just dominating AAA. Home run every night. He's hitting about 380 over the last 20 games, 30 games. So great time to call him up, which is not going to happen. So I don't even know where to start. The Yankees suck. What a week and a half difference from last week after good Rockies Nationals series I was saying they're back, and the vibes are really high, and they had that Sunday against the Rockies 2 weeks ago where they hit the back-to-back-to-back home runs. Vibes were great. Now vibes stink. It's so bad watching this team the last week. A day
You
off left
were,
old.
I saw all the memes yesterday. What were they? All the memes yesterday. Oh, the Yankees lost to the day off 5-1.
Yeah.
That was
It's
funny.
that bad, Mike. It's that bad.
Kevin, you were riding high on this team the last time we recorded an episode. I mean, we were talking about them as, like, how are they not going to represent the American League in the World Series? And you were feeding me this propaganda, and I was like, yeah, I can't not believe it. I can't not think that. Things have changed. Let me say this. Let me calm you down a little bit. I'm not saying you're supposed to feel good right now. You shouldn't feel good, okay? Let me tell you this and ask you this. There's nobody in the American League right now that's good. We went over the Central.
Except for Houston.
Houston has some issues, though. Houston's not this
they're
juggernaut.
Good, though. They're good.
They're
The
good.
only team I can sit here and say they're good. But keep going.
Just got swept by the Reds, okay? But either way, okay. So the only team you'd say, all right, you feel pretty good about the American League right now is Houston. But this also means, like, if you're going up against anybody in the playoffs in the American League, you have to feel like your team is as good or better than all of them. No?
Yeah, but I think the difference is the Yankees don't know how to win games any other way than Soto, Judge, Stanton, mash, and the pitching just holds on. That's the only way they know how to win games. But you want to know a bright spot of this? I think if they got something sorted out here, because how many games has Clay Holmes lost for this team? Yeah. And at a point, it's not even Clay Holmes' fault in my eyes anymore. It's Aaron Boone. Why are we still running him out there?
Right.
In one-run games. 2 or 3 years ago, or what, last year, no, 2 years ago, they sent Aroldis Chapman into the abyss because he blew 4 saves. And you just never heard from him again as a Yankee. And then Clay Holmes this year gets the chance to blow 11? How does that make any sense?
No, it doesn't. It doesn't make any sense. I've brought this up on this show before, and maybe we can bring it up again. We had a really nice discussion last week about the playoff rotation. And I think it's becoming more likely every day that Clay Holmes blows another save, that Luis Gil might just come back and be the closer.
I think we're getting to that point for sure.
I think that has to be seriously considered by this organization because it just makes the most sense, right? You want to keep this guy healthy. He's a starter for you going forward, a front line starter for you, and you don't want to, put any extra stress on that arm. Not saying being the closer would, be not stressful, but, the innings. You want to limit the innings, right?
Yeah, and it's a way to patch it up for this year. For the rest of the year, you can justify it because you can say, well, we're getting Clark Schmidt back, so we don't actually need Gil to come back and be a starter. But we do need him to pitch because he's one of our better pitchers. We want to keep him healthy, so let's put him in the pen. He could be a 6-out closer for you for the rest of the season. And a good one, too. He's got good strikeout stuff. He's got a little bit of a walk issue, which could run into problems, but it can't be worse than Holmes' walk issue. He walks the first 2 guys every inning. And his OPS is like 1 million against with 3-2 counts. So it can't be worse than Holmes. But it bothers me how terrible this situation has been handled by the Yankees. And that's what discourages me the most. How can I trust Aaron Boone to properly manage the personnel he has in a postseason? I can't.
Yeah, but let me say this, okay? And I want to kind of shift this to Dominguez. I think Boone, realizes the fault. We see faults, right? And he'll tell you, oh, they're right there, and they're this and that. But that's really just Boone defending his guys, right? Yeah. He's not going to call his guys out. I think Boone sees the deficiencies that his team has, just like everybody else. And when he BS's you, he BS's you. I think this is I think it's been this way for years. and I'll continue to say this, I think it's more of a Cashman issue than it is a Boone issue. I think
There's
this is all Cashman's fault.
There's some sort of higher up in Boone's ear because there's no way Boone, who is a baseball guy more than anyone in the world, his dad was a baseball guy, an executive for so long, player, his brother played. There's no way that a guy from that baseball background lets Clay Holmes get the opportunity to blow 11 saves. That's what's always been puzzling to me. There's somebody above him, you're right, and it's probably Cashman, who's in his ear. Boone has no power. He's the 29th highest paid manager in baseball. That means he has no actual value to the New York Yankees as an organization, to their front office, to the people who hire him and pay his check. He has no true value to them, and he's completely expendable because he doesn't do anything. And that's not his fault, but he's not allowed to.
It's Cashman. It's all Cashman. And, he has, being there for so long, he has so much power. And there's a reason why he wants to keep Aaron. Like, I guess you're right. There's a reason why they want to keep Aaron Boone around.
Yeah, exactly. They like to keep him around, and that's why Girardi got fired, man.
He's the 29th highest paid manager in
baseball.
baseball.
Only Rob Thompson makes less.
Mendoza doesn't make much either.
No, but I think he's 25th or 26th. Rob Thompson makes less because, and you can understand that because he got his contract right after his interim season, and he's a 63-year-old at the time who's never had a managing job, and you kind of just he's got to take it. Like, you can lowball him, and he has to take it. He was making like $800,000 for the last 2 years, and he'll get a new one this offseason, and I'm sure Rob Thompson will get more money than Aaron Boone in a new contract from the Phillies, because I think he actually does stuff as a manager. I think he has a say in the game, but Aaron Boone does not have a say in the game at all.
It's sad because you're right. This is a baseball guy. This is a guy you trust to make these decisions. How about your boy Aaron in a little slump here? Ever since he went on that kid show, right? The Paw Patrol, whatever it was.
Patrol,
yeah.
Judge is in a slump. Soto has not had a good last 2 weeks either. Bound to happen at some point. Silver lining of the whole last 2 weeks is that Jazz Chisholm really was a great pickup for the Yankees. That was a very good deadline move. He's been excellent, giving them an athleticism that they needed all around. So he's picked up some of the slack for the rest of the squad. Rizzo has been pretty good since he has come back. But yeah, Judge being in a slump is a real killer, but at some point it has to happen. I mean, his first time all year, he's got 9 games without hitting a home run. That's kind of ridiculous.
Yeah.
So
nobody talked about how bad Ben Rice was down the stretch.
Ben Rice,
he was just forgotten.
Down the stretch.
He was forgotten.
After that big game against the Red Sox,
terrible.
He was terrible.
Yeah, that was that was.
And he just hit a 2-run home run last night in AAA. Drove in Dominguez. Dominguez last night, and it's perfect timing because 2 nights ago, Verdugo hits a chopper to second and doesn't run at all. I don't know if you saw that. Walks up the line.
Yeah.
After the game, Boone says he's got the leg injury. He's dealing with something. Then don't play him. If he can't run to first, don't play him. Whatever. Dominguez last night, almost an identical ground ball chopper to the right side of the infield. 2 outs, hauls ass up the line. Gets to first, safe, beats the throw. Next pitch, 2-run home run with 2 outs. So that was a perfect kind of stick it to him moment. And he hit a home run, but kind of a perfect moment of this guy's doing everything that the man you're loyal to, the player you're loyal to, is not doing.
It's organizational malpractice to not have this guy up.
It really is. And he should be pissed. Dominguez should be pissed because he's probably the 5th or 6th best player in the organization. Chisholm's probably better, Judge, Stanton, Soto, and then I think it's Dominguez.
Well, did they hit him in the middle of the lineup the day they brought him up when they had the extra man?
Yeah, what did he hit, 4th?
I think he hit 5th. My friend was telling me he hit 5th. And Verdugo hits 9th. Like, what are they doing?
I mean, just makes absolutely no sense the way that they've handled this.
Kevin, this isn't the first time they've done these things. The Mets used to do this with old school, like when they had Epler and Showalter, like there's guys hitting and they just made moves that make sense. And these guys, Stearns and Mendoza, everything makes sense. Like there's a reason for everything and they're doing the right things. It's like, how is this guy? If I was a Yankees fan, I don't know if I could watch the team until this kid came up. I don't know how you do it.
And now it almost feels as if there's a lot of time left. September 6th is not as late as you think. We're only 5 days beyond the September call-ups. But to call up a 190 hitter in Duke Ellis, who's a pinch runner, first of all, the Yankees needed a pinch runner. So he should have been up a while ago because they have no speed on their bench.
Yeah.
That's a different problem. Dominguez, to not get called up on September 1st and Duke Ellis gets called up, he has to be so pissed off at this organization because last year the guy comes up, looks like a star right out of the gate. Has to get Tommy John after, freak injury for a position player, doesn't play, gets healthy in end of June. He got hurt again in July, but gets healthy end of June. Played one game since in the major leagues. Got called up
but
once.
He would be up, right? Like if he let's say none of these injuries happen, or let's say even the Tommy John happens, right? Tommy John happens. He comes back in June, and then Stanton went down. So let's say he doesn't get hurt the second time. Stanton goes down. He's up, right? Like he's up.
I don't know because I've always thought Cashman has this incredibly stubborn and irrational value on service time. Because
what's that situation right now? If they brought him up today, do they lose a year?
No, they don't now because you have to wait till September 1st.
So then why?
So now I have now, but that's what I always thought. And what I was going to say next was I have no idea now because it doesn't matter now. So now you're just protecting Verdugo and Grisham. Because one of those guys ideally had to get released on September 1st. They had 4 spots open, but one of those guys had to get cut. And it's a no-brainer to cut Trent Grisham. Trent Grisham stinks.
Okay.
I mean, nobody's hitting 180 this year. He's a pretty good everyday player, but he's been an awful bench player because he hasn't gotten into any sort of a rhythm at any point in the year. So he's not your, but he's still, what did he hit with the Padres playing every day? 220?
See, I'd cut Verdugo. I would cut Verdugo.
I wouldn't, the only reason I wouldn't cut Verdugo is, I mean, Grisham has this narrative about him being a great outfielder, but I think Verdugo's a way better left fielder.
But he's plays center field. And now
I know, and Grisham plays center, Dominguez plays center, Verdugo's better left fielder. I think Verdugo would stay, Dominguez would play center, Judge would play left, but also get those DH days still, and that's where they would need Verdugo.
Okay.
And I think Verdugo is also more liked on the team. They both, you know what, Mike? Forget everything I just said. They both suck. Cut one of them. I don't care. Forget everything I just said.
This
Cut
isn't
one
like,
of them.
you know.
I don't even know why I said any of that. Cut one of them. I don't even care at all. They're both awful. Verdugo's had by far the worst year of his career with us. This is a guy that hits in a bad year 265. He sucks.
Our sleeper guys this year, Verdugo and McGill,
Oh
not great.
God.
Not great.
Oh my God. Verdugo gave me a good first 2 months.
Yeah, you looked smart about Verdugo. And I was like,
Oh.
and I was hyping that take up. I was like, yeah, it's like Kevin loves Verdugo. You look how right he was. Like big player on this team. Guy stinks.
Just horrible.
Get him out.
All right, trivia. Because I can't talk about the Yankees anymore. They suck. There's nothing else to talk
Yeah.
about. Hopefully
They
by
are
next
5.
Friday.
Yankees won.
This is Yankee themed trivia, though, a little bit.
All right.
Because, not really, but a little bit. Because Stanton, since we did our last episode, hit his 25th home run. He is the only active player with 10 seasons of 25 or more homers,
Okay.
which is very impressive. I will go down as saying Giancarlo Stanton is the most powerful hitter I've ever seen in my life and will ever see in my life. I don't think we'll ever see someone with more pure power. Not the best power hitter, not the best hitter, but pure power is ridiculous. So we're doing top 10 most career home runs among active players. Easy, but not as easy as you think. Top 10 active players, home run leaders.
Okay, so Stanton, obviously.
Stanton's 1.
Judge
just misses the list. He is 11.
Oh boy.
That's
Goldschmidt.
why it's tough because
Goldschmidt.
there's Goldschmidt. You said
Yeah.
he's 3.
All righty. Let's throw Freeman out there.
Freeman is 4.
All righty. So if Judge isn't, Alonso definitely is not on that list.
No,
Right?
Alonso is way down.
Okay. 20. I'll throw this. Lindor. Is Lindor on there?
No. Lindor is not. He's 21st, Lindor. And he's way back. He's 50. Yeah. He's 67 home runs back of the 10th player.
All right. Let's throw Mookie Betts out there.
No. Mookie's 17th.
Let's throw Nolan Arenado in there.
5th.
Let's throw. Trout, obviously.
Yeah, I was just gonna say number 2. Think about number 2. Very easy.
Yeah, Trout. All right.
So you need 6, 7. That's why we were debating before. Should we do top 5 or top 10? You just got the top 5. Now you got to get 6 through 10.
So I have the top 5. That's it.
You have the top 5 finished.
Okay, 6 through 10. Is Jose Ramirez on that list?
No, he is 20th.
Okay, good guess, Michael. Not Chris Bryant. That's not a guess, but that's also like if he was on it. Okay.
Every player on it has never really been like bad. I mean, Chris Bryant got bad.
All right. You're right. It is harder than it seems. It definitely is.
Yeah.
Like good names, though. Like these are good names.
You have 2 MVPs on the list.
Jesus Christ.
And you have
Yelich?
No.
Damn. 2 MVPs. I already guessed. Jose Abreu?
Multi-time MVP.
Jose Abreu?
No.
Jose
Abreu, surprisingly, is not even top 25.
All right, dude. You have to make me feel bad about every single guess I give. Every guess, he's not even close. Jesus Christ.
I wasn't trying to do that before the Abreu one, but I see how it looks that way.
I mean, oh my God. All right. We're going to put the thinking cap on here.
You can do it. You have number 7 is a multi-time MVP and still very good.
This doesn't help. I guessed Betts already. It's no.
No, not Betts.
I got to start cheating on this to make myself look good.
You can do it, man. You can do it.
I don't think I can.
All right. Number 7. We'll focus on number 7.
Okay.
2-time MVP. Maybe more. Hold on. Let me double check.
Jesus. Hall of Fame player.
2, all right. 2-time MVP with 2 different teams. He's in the National League.
Oh. Screw me. Harper.
Yep.
Schwarber's on the list.
No, he's 12.
Jesus Christ.
He's actually 13. And here's a surprise.
I can't get
So
one.
Judge is 11. Schwarber's 13. Anthony Rizzo is 12.
That's crazy. All right, so we got Harper. Let's get cooking now. Come on.
Yeah, you need 6, 8, 9, and 10.
JD Martinez is on that
JD Martinez
list.
is 8.
Let's go. All right.
He's actually, he's 8. He's 8. So you need 6, 9, and 10. 6 is still a very good player. 9 and 10 are the toughest 2 players on the list.
I'm going to throw out a serious floater here. Marcelo Zuna.
No, that's not the worst, though. But he's not even top 100. No, man. Kidding.
All right, I need a couple more hints.
All right. 10 is your other MVP. but he won it roughly a decade ago.
Okay.
So I'm not going to give you the exact year, but think like 2011 to 2016, that range. And he won it in the National League.
Nope, not helping. Give me the answers.
You want the answers?
Yeah. It's gonna
You
piss
can
me
get
off.
number 6, though.
I don't think I can. I have nobody on the docket.
Big time free agent. Third baseman as a free agent. Went from AL to NL. Still good.
It's not Chapman.
No. Same division.
Oh my God. Machado.
Yes, Machado.
All right.
10, you gotta get the MVP. And then I'll give you 9. 9's easy, but I'm gonna wait till the end to give them to you. 10 is a former MVP. And I have one more hint that's like a dead giveaway if you want it.
Yeah, I want it. I need it.
He's on the team he won the MVP with, but this is his second stint with the team. He's played for multiple teams between.
Okay.
If you want division, I'll give it to you.
Give me the division.
NL Central.
So he won an MVP and then he came back. See, like I know the player and I literally can't think of it.
Very prominent player.
I can't think of it.
And you're just playing it tough. It's tough. I told you, tough trivia today.
Who is
37 years old. Outfielder.
Just say it. I'm not even thinking. My brain's not even working anymore.
Andrew McCutchen.
Oh, okay. That's not, I'm not as mad. I mean, I should get that. That's bad.
The most at this point for active players, maybe the most forgettable MVP of active.
Yeah, that's
MVPs.
fine. That's fine. And who was the other guy?
9, you were never going to get Carlos Santana.
Yeah, never going to get that.
But all good careers there. Good top 10. Figure we're in for a challenge this week.
That was fine. That was good.
Yeah,
I like that.
You got the first 5 on your own right off the rip. You got none
Martinez
of the
on my own. No, I got Martinez on my own.
Oh, you got Martinez on your own, yeah. But you didn't get the easy ones on your own. Harper, I'm shocked you missed Harper.
Yeah, I'm shocked I missed Harper too.
It took you a while to get Harper.
Because you know what? I was thinking like, well, Judge isn't. I never thought of Harper, but probably one of the reasons why I didn't. I'm like, Judge isn't on this list. Like Soto's not on this list.
Yeah.
I'm like, but Harper is so much earlier than them.
Yeah. No, that's good. And it took you. I didn't know if you were going to get Trout. Like halfway through that, I was thinking, will you actually get Trout, or are you going to completely miss him?
Guess Trout. Yeah, no, I had to get Trout.
Yeah.
Who was one again? Well, oh, Stanton. Yeah.
Do you want to go around the league, or I feel like we covered a lot?
Yeah, we covered a lot. I'm good around the league. I mean, the AL stinks.
Yeah, I'm good off around teams, the league. Man.
I'll say this. Let me say this about the Mets. I think we're really the wild card race. I think I'm becoming more of the belief that if the Mets get in, it's going to be with the Braves and not because of the Braves lose.
So you think they're both going to get in?
If the Mets are going to make it, I think it's going to be because the D-backs go cold or the Padres go cold.
Okay. I was going to bring that up before because the Mets are now at a point where they're not far back from any of the wild card teams. It's
all 3 of those teams lost yesterday.
Yeah. All right, that's a good take. I like that take. I don't think the Braves are missing, so I like that take.
If Atlanta gets in, they're gonna go to the World Series. I'd place that bet now. Gambling advice. If you want money, listen to the Hardline Gambling Show. Because that's
Hardline Gambling.
And Atlanta right now to make the World Series.
Let's go.
That would be my.
All right, let me ask you this one. And then we'll wrap. Go back to the Yankees here. Is the AL seeding set right here?
No.
Baltimore, 1 seed. Cleveland, 2 seed. Astros, 3. Yankees, Twins, Royals, wild card. Those will be the 6 teams.
Yeah, I think the Yankees are going to win the division.
Okay, so and they would get the 1 seed or no?
Yeah. How
Them
far
or
is
Cleveland? It's AL East or Cleveland.
I wouldn't just count out Houston though. 5 games back.
I would. I think 5 games is a big hill to climb.
Well,
over
with
the next
these
4
teams
weeks.
playing the way they are, like they're not playing well.
But neither is Houston's not playing well enough record-wise to say this team can make that 5-game climb.
Fair.
But you know what? If we're sitting here in 4 weeks and Houston wins the AL, I'm not really.
Well, win the AL,
Gonna
yeah,
be
but
shocked.
1 seed, you might be right.
Well, no, but I'm
I
saying
see.
that's what I meant. Regular season AL champ, so I'm not going to be too surprised either. What's the maximum amount of wins a team gets this year? Dodgers and Phillies have 84 with 3.5 weeks to go.
98.
98?
Let's see. No. One of them will get to 100. The Dodgers will get to 100.
All right, there we go. That's it. Boroughs, episode 18, wrapping it. Thanks for watching. Make sure to go check out Hardline. Big changes with the Hardline, and this was the first full week where I felt, you guys were really in a great place this week with the 2 episodes. You had the gambling show, and you had the episode Tuesday morning that came out. It's all football, so you want to catch that Sunday 7:30. Mike and I are back on here for the Sunday preview or the Sunday recap. I'm pumped for the Sunday recap because last year it really was just like a soft launch thing that we did. And we picked it up in the middle of the football season and we did it for fun, really. And that's what we're still doing. It's my favorite show that I do with BTO out of the 3, with the bunker, with the Boroughs, and the recap. I love the recap. So we'll jump on 7:30, YouTube and Instagram. We're done by 8 because we go watch the Sunday night game, and you can hear the thoughts on that on the Hardline later on. I'll have the bunker Monday morning to talk about it, so you can hear all our thoughts there. But we will just recap that slate of the 1 o'clock. I mean, will we touch the Friday game at all, do you think?
When? On
tonight's game on Sunday? Do you think we'll talk about it at all?
Depending on what happens, but I think we're going to be so consumed with Sunday. And you know what, Kevin? There's nothing on during that time. Like, yeah, you could watch NBC in their pregame, but there's nothing on during that time.
No, there's not. So
live on YouTube, live on Instagram. It's going to be fun.
That's the place to go if you're just, doing whatever you do between games, going to the bathroom, taking a shower, throw on the Sunday recap. It'll be posted on Spotify afterwards as well, but you definitely want the live experience. You can come comment as you see in the Boroughs. Come comment, get involved with the show, and we will go through everything we have to with the Sunday recap. So appreciate you guys watching the Boroughs, sticking through all year. We got, what do we have here? Really 8 weeks left of baseball through the World Series, 4 weeks left of regular season. We have 3 regular season episodes left.
Yep.
So how about that? That went fast. And then full swing for football. Make sure to check out the Hardline. We have a new show coming out next week. Stay tuned for the announcement on it. Not going to reveal anything right here. And we also have the bunker every day. Make sure to check out the playbook, where we're hoping to get a podcast going soon for it. But the social media presence that Gabe gives is second to none with BTO. So you got to check it out anyways, even without the podcast. All right, I've talked enough here to wrap up. Thank you for watching. We will see you next Friday, 11 o'clock, and we'll also see you Sunday, 7:30. Football fans, make sure to be there. Enjoy the weekend. Enjoy tonight's game. Hopefully nobody on the Packers or Eagles gets murdered in Brazil.